Hello guys, thank you for coming. This is a short review of the paper behind the famous ChatGPT. The paper's title is Training Language Models to Follow Instructions with Human Feedback. So their system is trained in 3 steps. The first step, they use a base model, GPT-3 model, or you can imagine this is also BERT-like model. They fine-tune on it by using prompts and the responses. And those prompts and responses are written by human labelers. And so they come up with a model called a supervised fine-tune model of GPT-3. They call it SFT. And then in step number 2, they start to use comparison method to train a reward model. For example, they have a prompt. They use the SFT train in the first stage to get multiple responses. And then they would ask the labelers to score them, score each 2 of them to see which response the labeler would prefer. And then in this way, they're capable of getting the so-called reward model or RM. And in the third stage, they train their policy or policy model, if you can call that. In this stage, no human labelers are involved. So you can see first you get a new prompt. That the new prompt would be fed into their policy model, and policy would generate some output or response, and the response would be evaluated using the model trained in the step number 2, the RM, reward model, and the reward model come up with a score. Based on this score, you can use backpropagation to update your policy. Remember that in this stage, their RM is not updated, but the authors do mention that after doing the step number 3, you can go back to step number 2 and do the same thing again. So in this time, the response will not be generated by SFT, but generated by the policy model. And the labelers can come here and review this stuff again and get a better RM, and then to train a better policy model in the next step 3. So the iteration can keep going. Okay, regarding the results, the authors, they have shown us it worked fairly good on the evaluation task. Look at figure number 5. So after they generate the response given a certain prompt, the human being are supposed to give a like score ranging from 1 to 7. 1 is the least like, 7 is the most like. And you can see that the traditional GPT or GPT prompted, those are the models that before 2022, I guess, they can, and even the Google's model, Flan or T0, none of them can get above 3.5, I think. By doing their supervised fine-tuning, they were able to get something higher than 4. And eventually their PPO model, they can get almost 5, score of 5, which is very impressive. I think the paper was published in March 2022, and up to today, it's almost 1 year from when they published the work. So I have played with the ChatGPT. I would give a score, most of the response I get a score above 6. And eventually, I want to stress that the author do have some interesting discussion, especially remember their task is to align their language model with human intent. And they ask themselves, who are they aligning the model to? Of course, is that there are three factors. First of all, the labelers and the labelers. The second is the researchers. They design the experiment, select the labelers, and give the instructions to the labelers. And the third thing is their OpenAI customers, because remember in the third step, they're not using any human labelers work, but they use OpenAI's playgrounds collected prompts. So the customers' prompts or response could also affect the trained model, or who are they aligning to. So you can either call this bias or biased model. But they also point out that, I want to read this. One path forward could be to training the model that can be conditioned on the preference of certain groups, or that can be easily fine-tuned or prompted to represent different groups. So you can imagine that in the future, we can expect ChatGPTs with different versions addressing the needs or the requirements of different groups to come out. And thanks for staying with us. If you like our channel, please hit subscribe and share the video with your friends. Bye.